At the start of the cycle, we set a handful of goals, and we tacked on measurable markers for success. Now, we're calling time. Did we cross our finish line? If we did, what helped us make it? And if we didn't, what caused us to fall short? And what would we do differently next time? Grading and reflecting is the moment we've been building towards throughout this cycle. We're about to learn not just how to grade our OKRs, but also how to reflect on them to help us set better goals for the next cycle. Grading is an unbiased activity. For every key result, we mark how far we got. It'll be very clear if we met or exceeded our key result, or if we didn't. Grading should be quick and efficient, and if you've been tracking your key results throughout the cycle, you'll have a good read on what those scores will be. There's not going to be many surprises. To get an overall score for the OKR, take the average of its key results. Each one counts equally towards the OKR score. Here's an example. Let's say your aspirational objective is to increase a car's fuel economy. The first key result was to reduce the car's weight by 10%. Amazingly, our team reduced the weight by 9%, so we got a score of 0.9. Our second key result was to reduce drag by 12%. We only cut it by 6%, so we get a score of 0.5. Our third key result was to source more fuel-efficient tires. Unfortunately, we haven't closed the deal yet, but we're about halfway through the process and it should come together soon. So we get a score of 0.5. Remember, key results should be written so that the score is easy to measure and any team member should be able to verify the score with no debate. There might be debate over why the team wound up with that score, but that happens later in the reflection stage. To score our overall OKR, we take the averages of the 3 KR scores. In this case, 0.63. In grading aspirational OKRs, Google considers a range of 0.7 to 1 as green. It means we are very close to delivering fully, or we delivered. So in our example, we didn't make green. OKRs with a grade of 0.4 to 0.6 are yellow. We made progress, but fell short of completion. That's where our OKR example falls. And if the grade lands between 0 and 0.3, well, that's red. We've failed to make significant progress. Our yellow score on this OKR tells us we made progress towards our goal, but not as much as we'd hoped for. Grading's that quick and simple. Across the board, your committed OKRs, those should hit a score of 1 or 100%. There's no middle ground for these committed goals. They're either green or red. Aspirational goals are less binary. Some will miss the mark completely, say at 10%. Others may hover around 50. You might get a green one at 80. And every once in a while, you'll overachieve above 100%. To build goal-setting muscle, it's important to look at the average score across all of your aspirational OKRs. Don't weigh success or failure based on a single aspirational OKR. If you're consistently scoring below 30% across all of your aspirational goals, well, that's a sign you're setting goals that are too ambitious for your current capacity. On the other hand, if you're consistently scoring 100% on all of your aspirational OKRs, that's sandbagging. That's when you pretend a goal is harder to achieve than it really is. Your average score across all of your aspirational OKRs measures your organization's appetite for stretch. Google knows if its average is 70%, their teams are making bold enough OKRs. Your organization might set a different bar. Just be sure to communicate it clearly across the organization. On their own, grades don't mean all that much. That's why we always pair grading with self-assessment and reflection. Self-assessment adds subjective judgment to your objective scores. Let's look at one example. Say you work on a PR team and one of your quarterly key results was to generate new leads by landing 3 national news placements. Your team landed only 2 for an initial grade of 0.67 or 67%. But one of them was a front page mention in the Wall Street Journal. And that led to directly signing 2 big clients. During self-assessment, it'd be appropriate to bump your score to 90% for this KR, because in terms of impact, you knocked it out of the park. Or perhaps your team landed only 2 placements in smaller publications because you were too late getting press releases out. In your self-assessment, you might actually lower your score to 30% to account for the failure in the process. After self-assessment is completed, it's time for my favorite part of the process, reflection. Reflecting helps us understand what happened and figure out how to improve things for the next cycle. Let's go back to our PR example. With discussion, the team realizes that their main bottleneck was inside their internal process around approvals. And with even more digging, they discovered that they could speed up that process by holding a combined review across the company, and that would reduce approval time by 1 week. With reflection, they learned something of significant value to the team, not just for that particular OKR. Reflection is a learning exercise. Here are some questions to help your team perform better. Did we accomplish all of our objectives? If we didn't, what obstacles did we face? If we could rewrite a goal that we achieved in full, what would we change? What have we learned that might change our approach in the next OKR cycle? In general, OKR reflections are about asking the team, how can we get better? You'll find the most value in collective reflections, where you're drawing these conclusions together. Since people will have differing opinions on why you landed where you did, teamwork is especially important in this subjective phase of work. Use grading, self-assessment, and reflections to surface and resolve tensions in the service of the next cycle. By taking time at the end of one cycle to grade and reflect, we set our team up for greater success in the next one.